Hi, everyone. If you are listening to this, this means that you are part of the launch of the Today is the Day Changemakers YouTube channel and podcast. And my name is Jodi Grinwald, and I am super, super excited to be here with you. This is something that I had put on the back burner for 5 years. I allowed fear to take hold, and instead of launching something that I really thought could make a difference, I was afraid that nobody would subscribe, that nobody would want to be interviewed, and that there's so many other podcasts out there, why mine? Until several weeks ago, when I thought about the fact of why not mine? And it's not about me. It's about the people who I'm bringing on and interviewing, sharing their stories of inspiration, the change makers, the motivators, the ones who are breaking and crushing the status quo. They just will not accept that the status quo is good enough. They are mentors to many people. They have so much to share. And every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, starting on January 6th, you will be able to see a new interview with a new change maker. And we'll be bringing some back on again to get updates. But now is the time where we need to come together. Now is the time where we can learn from each other. We could have done that any other time. And I really wish I would have launched years ago, but I'm not looking back. Because my mantra, which you will hear in every single episode, is that today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. And sometimes we keep thinking that there's so many tomorrows. And then also we look back and say, why did we do something that we wish we didn't do the day before? We can't go back in time. And we don't know how many tomorrows. So if you have a feeling inside that you really want to do something that would be incredibly fulfilling, but you're scared, I just want to tell you that so is I, and so am I. I stand here being vulnerable, saying, yes, I have no idea how many people will subscribe. I have no idea how many people will follow. I don't know if people will feel engaged in the conversation. That is what I want. And I want interaction with those who do subscribe and those who do listen, to ask questions and reach out to me. And so I want to give you a little bit about my background. So why am I here, and what is my topics going to be about, and why do I feel like I can offer anything? So let me share a little bit about myself. I am the CEO and co-founder of the Zach G. Applauder Kids Foundation. The organization is named after my dad, Zach. My sister and I started it 3.5 years ago in honor of him. He was a singer-songwriter who was actually an opera singer, he found out late in his 30s, because of the fact that he couldn't afford lessons when he was a kid. So in his honor, 1.5 years after he passed away from ALS, we started the Applauder Kids Foundation. We provide full funding to children living with financial barriers to take ongoing lessons in dance, acting, instrumental music, and vocal instruction. They take those lessons at local studios close to their home so that they can be with their friends in some of the same classes they might be, some of the same people that might be in those classes with them in school, they might be actually in dance school with or acting classes with. So we love what we do. We have seen how the performing arts has made such a difference. It's not about a lesson. It's about what it gives to the child, the opportunity to be creative, an outlet, and the opportunity to have an extended family, as many of the kids in our programming have lost a family member to suicide or an overdose. Or, it's just a bad financial time. They've lost, maybe somebody has lost a job. We have kids from the foster care system. We have a performance group that goes out and performs all over, and they perform to give back to the community. That part is an audition-only group that we are so excited about the places that they've performed. They've gotten to meet Bon Jovi. They've gotten to perform at Feinstein's 54 Below in New York City, and they were supposed to take the Gershwin stage in Arts for Autism, but we're unable to this past June because of what we're dealing with right now. So I wear other hats. And so I think many of us wear other hats now, right? We're not just doing one thing. We're part of many boards, or we're running many different businesses and having many different revenue streams for financial security, or just because we love many things and we want to have our hand in many things. So the other piece of what I do is I'm a nonprofit consultant. I actually do consulting for a statewide organization here in New Jersey. And I launched actually a nonprofit council for them, and we have a big event coming up as well. And I'm just really excited about the fact of how I'm able to help and support other nonprofits. As someone who's been in the nonprofit industry for over 16 years, I just know that without the non-for-profits in the communities where they serve so much of a big population that people might not even realize what they do, we couldn't survive without these nonprofits. So many people rely on them, from our food banks to the larger national organizations to now even our organization. Not that they couldn't survive, it's just that the creative outlet that we're able to give and other performing arts organizations are able to give. My background, I was vice president of development over 5 states for the American Lung Association. I ran several different advisory boards for them, and I was responsible for a large team, raising over $1 million, probably around $1.5 million. And then for the American Heart Association, I started out as a development director and moved my way up to be senior regional director and then executive director for 2/3 of the state of New Jersey, raising probably around the exact same amount I was raising for the American Lung Association with a team of 8 instead of 17, and working with a board there as well. So nonprofits are definitely where my heart is, but I definitely work with sales teams as well. And everything I do, there's a common denominator, in my life. And there's a couple of common denominators because they're really all about supporting and motivating and making sure that people feel connected. That is one thing. I kind of say I'm a master connector because I do try to connect the dots when I possibly can to help people meet new people. Our foundation, the Zach J. Uploader Kids Foundation, could not have gotten where we have without doing something I call leveling up communications and connections. The acronym for that is LUCK. And it's really all about deepening your connections within your community and communicating with your community about who you are and what you do and telling your story. So that's a lot about who I am, and that's why I want to share these stories of these amazing people I've met along the way. As a master communicator, or connector is basically what I was saying, is that you have an opportunity to really, really learn about people and really understand them and what kind of drives them. And now I get to sit with them and talk to them and hear about their stories. So these change makers, these inspirers, these that are really making things happen, these people that are really making things happen in our communities, these are people that don't see really obstacles as obstacles or as things that they cannot move or go around or go through. They figure it out. And if they don't figure it out, they're going to talk to somebody that can help them figure it out. They refuse to say it's okay when it's not okay. And so I can't begin to tell you that as soon as I started reaching out to some of these individuals, Tony Pergolin, who is the president and CEO of Bancroft, Jeremy Grunin from the Grunin Foundation, who's the president of the Grunin Foundation, Andrea Plaza, who is the chief storyteller of Andrea Plaza LLC, Christina Henderson, who owns a certified women-owned business in Henderson Promotions and is also Mrs. New Jersey American. The list goes on, from authors to people in the medical field. You're going to see, and also people outside of the United States. I'm really excited to be sharing stories. And my hope is that if you are feeling that you need motivation, something someone says will help launch you into doing something or closer to doing something you love. If you are a change maker, because someone asked me, so who is your audience? I feel like my audience is everyone. If you're a change maker, this is a great opportunity to hear how other change makers are doing things. They may have something that you can take and use in your own business or in your life in any way. But then there's also those who need motivation, who want to be change makers, who want to inspire others, or who are just not sure how to move forward. And something that someone says on this podcast or on the YouTube channel can really, really help motivate someone, whether it's to get off the couch or it's to say, you know what, I'm not happy in my current role and I really want to grow within my organization, or you know what, I'm leading a large team and I really just learned something that another change maker is doing as well from this podcast, and I'd like to implement that. So if you have questions for our change makers, if you have any questions for me, if I can help you in any way, I'm here to support. I know our change makers are very open to questions as well. It's very important to me to make this interactive. And I just want to mention something else too. Judgment holds us back. It paralyzes us. Fear holds us back. It paralyzes us. And I know that 5 years ago, when I wanted to launch this podcast, my Brooklyn accent comes out every once in a while. You're going to hear that through the different interviews. So you could start keeping score of them. But when I think about how I felt 5 years ago, I was very scared to put myself out there. It's not easy to put yourself out there on Instagram and Facebook and social media as a CEO of an organization, as someone trying to launch something, or even in general. So I just want to share something really quick that has recently happened that I think is a good example of the culture that I am hoping that we can create through Today is the Day Changemakers. As I mentioned, we run a performing arts group. It is the performance group for the Zach J. Ploder Kids Foundation. And we tell the kids, they range from the age of 9 all the way up to 21, that if you ever need anything, we have a group message. And we tell them if you're ever in need of support, motivation, you're feeling down about anything, just put in the chat, I need some help, or I need some support. And that's hard to do, right? It's hard to do. It's hard to say. It's hard to raise your hand and say, you know what, today's not a good day for me, or I'm going through something. And if you're a leader, right, you don't want to let them see you sweat. And if you're a leader and a female, you don't want to let them see you sweat, because we should be able to accomplish anything. And that's how society kind of looks at us at times, right? And leaders in any position with any background. But we have children in the group that have raised their hand, and I'm so proud of them. And I want to teach them the importance of being able to say, I do need help, and it's okay that I do, because if you help me, then when you're down, I'm going to help you. And together we can have this non-judgmental support system that could help us do so many great things, because, you know, putting a lot of great minds together and the amazing things that happen. So that's the one thing I've started the Today is the Day Changemakers group. It's a special group. It's outside of the Today is the Day Live It group, where you can follow us. I know that makes it confusing, but Today is the Day Live It is how you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. The Today is the Day Changemakers group, which is both on LinkedIn and Facebook, is a specialized group for individuals who just want a non-judgment opportunity to get together, share ideas, mastermind, and be able to learn from each other. And it can be from the CEO of the largest organization to someone who says, nothing's going to stop me. I really want to get everything I can out of life. And to someone who is like, you know what, I think I can learn from these people, so I'd like to be a part of this group. Everybody we meet along the way is either our teacher or our student, and they can be both in the same conversation. So think about that every time you have a conversation. Now, everybody you meet can either be your teacher or your student. So what I'm creating in the group of Today is the Day Changemakers is an opportunity for non-judgment, for us to look at fear very differently and vulnerability very differently. And when I interview people, and we don't script, it's real people, real stories, real conversation. They know what kind of where I want to head, or I know where they want to head in the conversation. No scripting, no scripted questions with scripted answers that you will be hearing or seeing if you're watching the YouTube channel. It is very much a conversation. And I have to say, I am so blessed that those sitting across from me on a Zoom screen basically have been willing to open up and share some very special things. They've trusted me in the interview process, and they're trusting you as the audience member to listen to those things without judgment as well. And that's why it's really important to me that to create a community of people who want to watch people grow and thrive. Isn't that what life's about, right? And so I say, take a look, keep a judgment journal. We all judge every single day, but I guarantee if you think about how many times you judge others during a day, you'd be surprised. I know that, it doesn't feel good to be judged. I know being judged has held me back. You'll hear in one of the interviews a little bit about my background, that, I have something in common with someone else who shared about their background, and I don't want to give it away right now, but I can tell you that it's hard to be vulnerable and share some things, but it's amazing what happens when you do it and someone else has the same thing in common. You actually feel validated and empowered if you didn't already. And it's not that you have to have that, it just feels good to know that somebody else understands maybe what you're going through. So feel free to interact. It's Jodi at applaudourkids.org. If you're interested in anything related to the Zach J. Ploder Kids Foundation, it is Jodi at todayisthedayliveit.com. That's todayisthedayliveit.com. If you are interested in interacting about the podcast, you want to ask a change maker a question, you want to ask me a question, or you're interested in being interviewed because you yourself are a change maker. I want to bring change makers on from all over the world. That is absolutely my goal. And I want to be able to show that by being vulnerable and being and sharing and being motivated and being a change maker and an inspirer, we all didn't start there. And by showing that you're there right now, what it could mean to someone who is working on getting there. So again, thank you for being part of this launch. 5 years later, I am super, super excited. Our first interview is next week, January 6th, with Michael Weamer, who is the president and CEO of the Marfan Foundation. I don't want to give anything away from that interview, but it was a great interview and it was wonderful to reconnect with Michael again. And there's a reason why I started with Michael for the first interview. So pay attention there and see what that's all about. Looking forward to sharing, looking forward to hearing from you, and looking forward to connecting with all of you through social media outlets. And please remember, today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So let's make today a great day, taking baby steps or big steps towards our goals. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Thank you.